Hey everybody! Tonight we're diving headfirst into the wonderful, wacky, and occasionally terrifying world of TikTok. This app, beloved by teenagers and let's be honest, many of us old folks pretending we understand it, has exploded in popularity. Seriously, it's everywhere. Dance crazes, cooking hacks, cats being, well, cats, you name it, TikTok's got it, usually set to a catchy tune you can't get out of your head for days. But with great viral fame comes great scrutiny. Behind those seemingly harmless dance-offs and lip-sync battles lurks a growing concern. What is TikTok doing with all our data? Are we staring down the barrel of a privacy nightmare, or is this just a big old case of tech phobia? Buckle up, folks, because things are about to get interesting. This isn't just some abstract debate about ones and zeros, it's about the very real possibility that our personal information, our likes, dislikes, locations, even our faces could be accessed and exploited. And when you factor in the already tense relationship between the US and China, well, let's just say things get a whole lot more complicated. Okay, let's rip the bandage off. What kind of data are we talking about here? Well, like most social media platforms, TikTok collects a whole buffet of user information. We're talking the usual suspects, your name, age, email address, the kind of stuff you'd willingly hand over to join the digital party. But then, things get a little more personal. TikTok keeps tabs on the videos you watch, the comments you leave, even how long you linger on that video of a dog riding a Roomba. Don't worry, we've all been there. They also track your location, browsing history, and even collect information about the device you're using. Basically, if it exists in the digital realm, there's a good chance TikTok is keeping an eye on it. Now, TikTok argues that this data collection is par for the course in the social media world. They claim it's all about personalizing your experience, showing you more of that sweet, sweet Roomba-riding dog content. But critics argue that the sheer volume and sensitivity of the data being collected goes way beyond what's necessary for a few laughs and viral dance moves. So, is this just standard social media practice? Or are we handing over the keys to our digital kingdom? To answer that, we need to look at who might be getting their hands on this treasure trove of data. And that, my friends, brings us to the big geopolitical elephant in the room, China. Here's where things get really spicy. The US government has expressed major concerns about TikTok's data collection practices, especially in light of the company's ties to China. Remember ByteDance, TikTok's parent company? They're based in Beijing, and under Chinese law, companies are required to cooperate with the government and provide access to user data upon request. Now imagine the Chinese government with access to the personal data of millions of Americans. That's not just a data breach, that's a potential national security threat. At least that's what some US officials are saying. They argue that this data could be used to target individuals for espionage, spread misinformation, or even influence elections. Of course, it's not like the US government is a shining beacon of data privacy themselves. Let's not forget about all those surveillance programs we've learned about over the years. But hypocrisy aside, the potential for foreign governments to access sensitive user data is a legitimate concern. So, we've got the US government waving red flags and sounding the alarm bells about TikTok. But what do the folks on the front lines of the digital battlefield have to say about all this? Let's be real, folks. This isn't just about one app. The TikTok saga is playing out against a backdrop of growing tension between the US and China, particularly when it comes to technology. It's like a digital Cold War, with each side vying for dominance in the global tech landscape. The US has long accused China of intellectual property theft and unfair trade practices. China, in turn, accuses the US of trying to stifle its technological advancement. It's a messy, complicated situation with no easy answers. The TikTok ban is seen by many as just another battle in this larger conflict. Some argue that it's a necessary step to protect national security and prevent China from gaining a strategic advantage. Others view it as a politically motivated move that smacks of protectionism and could stifle innovation. It's important to remember that this isn't just some abstract geopolitical chess match. The outcome of this digital tug-of-war has real-world implications for all of us. It will shape the future of the internet, global trade, and even the balance of power on the world stage. No pressure, right? Section 5 experts sound off cybersecurity concerns and the potential for data exploitation. Okay, so we've heard from the politicians, now let's see what the techies have to say. Cybersecurity experts have been sounding the alarm about the potential for data exploitation on TikTok for a while now. And it's not just about the Chinese government. Anytime you have a massive amount of personal data stored in one place, it becomes a tempting target for hackers, scammers, and other bad actors. And let's be honest, TikTok hasn't exactly been Fort Knox when it comes to data security. They've had their fair share of security vulnerabilities and data breaches over the years. In 2020, for example, researchers discovered a flaw that could have allowed hackers to access users' personal information, including phone numbers and passwords. Now, to be fair, TikTok has taken steps to improve its security. But the fact remains that with so much data at stake, they're always going to be a prime target. And that's a risk that users need to be aware of. Section 6. Fighting back. TikTok and ByteDance's rebuttals to the ban. Now, you didn't think TikTok and ByteDance would just sit back and take this lying down, did you? Of course not. They've come out swinging, denying any wrongdoing and calling the ban unfair and politically motivated. ByteDance has repeatedly insisted that they operate independently of the Chinese government and that they would never share user data with any government entity. They've even offered to set up data centers in the United States and allow for third-party audits to prove that they're playing by the rules. TikTok, for its part, has argued that the ban would be a huge blow to free speech and would stifle creativity and innovation. They've also pointed out that they've become a cultural phenomenon, providing a platform for countless creators and businesses. It's a classic case of he said, she said, with both sides presenting compelling arguments. But ultimately, it's up to policymakers to decide whether the potential risks outweigh the benefits. Section 7. The fallout, potential consequences for users, creators, and the tech landscape. So, what happens if the ban goes through? Well, for starters, millions of TikTok users in the United States would be cut off from their favorite app. And for some, it's more than just a fun distraction. TikTok has become a legitimate career path for many creators, influencers, and businesses. A ban would be a huge financial blow and could stifle innovation in the social media landscape. And let's not forget the potential impact on free speech and expression. Beyond the immediate impact, the ban could have far-reaching consequences for the tech industry as a whole. It could set a precedent for other countries to follow suit, leading to a more fragmented and less interconnected internet. It could also further escalate tensions between the United States and China, potentially leading to a tech Cold War with each side developing its own separate technologies and standards, and that's not good for anyone. Section 8. A digital iron curtain, the ban's implications for internet freedom. This whole TikTok saga raises some big, hairy questions about the future of the internet. Are we headed towards a more fragmented and censored online world, where governments have the power to pick and choose which apps and websites their citizens can access? The internet was founded on the principles of openness and free exchange of information. But as governments become increasingly wary of the power of tech companies, particularly those based in rival nations, we're seeing a push for more control and regulation. The question is, where do we draw the line? How do we balance national security concerns with individual freedoms? It's a tough question with no easy answers. One thing's for sure though, the outcome of this debate will have a profound impact on the future of the internet as we know it. Section 9. The future of tech navigating global policy in an increasingly interconnected world. We're living in a world that's more connected than ever before. Technology has broken down barriers and created opportunities for collaboration and innovation on a global scale. But it's also created new challenges, particularly when it comes to data privacy, security, and the balance of power between nations. The TikTok saga is just one example of the complex issues we face in this new digital age. As technology continues to evolve at breakneck speed, governments around the world are struggling to keep up. We need to find a way to navigate these challenges without resorting to protectionism or censorship. That means fostering dialogue, building trust, and establishing clear, internationally recognized standards for data privacy and security. It's a tall order, but the future of the internet and indeed the world may very well depend on it. So, let's get to work, shall we? That's our show, everybody. See you next week.